Right, you recording?
I am.
Good. Right, here we go. Bane of my life. 3, 2, 1. Do you know what? I think we both did that at the same time then. That is going to be a first.
We're getting there.
Right, yes. Right, I'm not doing a second one on that one because fuck it. So this one may be a re-record.
Wanker.
There you go. Yeah. Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Contumacious Anne.
And me, Atreya.
And today we're going to be talking about the death of Athalia Ponsell Lindsey.
That's a mouthful.
That's what she said.
Get over yourself, Anne.
Yeah. So, we've all heard the stories and strange tales that have come out of the flaccid, phallus-shaped state of Florida. Now, whether it be the eponymous Florida man using a private plane to draw a private penis on the radar in Florida.
Fucking hell, who's the alliteration king all of a sudden?
See, got both thesaurus. So, whether it's Florida gun owners try to shoot down a hurricane, or tales of the state's myriad of cryptids, which includes the skunk ape and wampus cat, apparently.
Wampus cat.
Yeah. I just got the name. I didn't look into it that much, but it looks like it has 5 legs. So,
I think it sounds it's a cat, so I'm all on board.
Yeah, we'll probably look into that further at some point. Because Florida is the state that keeps on giving.
Apparently.
Yeah, so today we will be talking about the Machete killings of 2 upstanding women in St. Augustine in northeastern Florida, which, by coincidence, is the United States' oldest city.
I thought you said this was a light one. It's quite amusing, the 2 machete killings of 2 women in Florida. You said this was a light one. That was your phrase. It's quite amusing.
There's amusing parts in it. Obviously not the deaths, but just what the police and how it all ends up. That's the funny part from a point of view of where you're going, I can't believe they may have got away with it. So it's
similar to what we said in the last episode.
Yeah. It's an unsolved murder, so this is a cold case, and
we'll solve it by the end of the episode.
I don't think we will. Well, I mean, it's pretty open and shut, to be quite honest, so yes, we probably will, but
I was going to say, who is doubting us all of a sudden?
Yeah.
We've solved every single one we've had so far, man.
Yeah, to be honest with you. And even ones we haven't even talked about yet, we've just solved them straight away.
Yeah.
But Athalia Ponsell was born in 1917. Now, she was born into a wealthy family in Ohio. She went on to spend 20 years in New York as a model, a chorus line dancer, and a hostess on an American TV game show. She would later move to Florida, and in 1970, Athalia ran for Florida legislator. But she lost out on this, and then she started out in a career in real estate.
I thought you were going to say she took up a line dancing career.
No. See, now I had to put, because I was going to put dancer there, and I knew as soon as I put like model, dancer, and hostess, you'd be like, ooh.
Stripper.
Exactly. I knew you'd jump to that, but she was a chorus line dancer, which is like.
Right. What is a chorus line dancer?
I was just about to...
Somebody that dances during the chorus?
Well...
Or is it somebody who line dances and sings a chorus? Because I like the second one better.
Well, line dancing wasn't invented until Billy Ray Cyrus came along in 1993. So I was going to say as well, if you'd seen Blazing Saddles, but obviously we all know you've never seen a film, chorus dancing is like, I'd like to describe it as a flapper girl. But that gives off the wrong impression. Okay, glad. I'm glad you know what one of them is. Or else,
of course I do. I've seen Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah, one of them, basically. I've researched flapper girls and it's very disappointing.
I bet you do.
Yeah. So
Here comes up with a completely different kind of search.
It was. Had me occupied for a while, though. Athalia
Fuck my life.
had been described as a sharp-tongued, aggressive woman who would not have won any popularity contests by the newspaper. This is by a newspaper. Journalists have described it like this. The Orlando Sentinel. Despite these certain character drawbacks, she managed to...
Drawbacks?
Yeah, she managed to marry James Lindsey in September of 1973. Now, James Lindsey was a former St. Augustine mayor who, as well, had gone into the real estate business. Now...
They sound like a really fucking boring couple.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't together that long. So
both into politics and then moved into real estate.
Yeah. So Athalia took Lindsay's name, but she kept her own maiden name, so that's why she was known as Athalia Ponsell Lindsey.
Right. Okay.
But it wasn't hyphenated. Maybe that's just an English thing. I don't know. But
just makes it look like her middle name's Ponsell, and that's just a dumb middle name.
Yeah, which is what I thought at first, which was mental. But yeah. So she had two surnames, double-barreled surnames, but not really. Just a double surname.
If she was in the UK, she'd have definitely just taken Lindsay because she'd have been called Poncy throughout the entirety of high school.
Yes. I don't think... Which is a good thing. I mean, I don't think she was bullied, which is a good thing. So...
Clearly.
Maybe because she was rich. Maybe that was the difference, and she probably went to different schools than we did.
So she was actually Poncy.
Yeah, she was actually, yes. Yeah. Very well done. So by January of 1974, the couple were still living in separate houses. Now, this was because, despite both of them being real estate agents, Athalia could not sell her house, and she didn't want to leave it unoccupied. So I'm not saying how good a real estate agent she was, but your own house is kind of the one you want to sell. Granted, you get commission on other people's houses, but you would earn all of that money for your own house. So,
I mean, you would know all the good things about your own house.
Yeah, exactly. And not to be able to sell it is not really good. It doesn't inspire confidence in...
But then, if she wasn't very popular, by all accounts, especially the Sentinel, then are you going to buy a house of somebody you didn't like?
Exactly. Maybe people just turned up and she was like, buy the fucking house. I want to move out.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a husband up the road. And people went, there's not even any cookies here. I don't know why I came round. So...
Do you just go and look at houses for free cookies?
Yeah, well, not in England, because they don't really have open houses, do they? But in America, that's a thing, I'm sure.
It'd be really weird, wouldn't it? Just like that's how serial killers are made. Like if you're thinking about getting into serial killing, like that's a good shout. Like just host an open house. You know?
Yeah.
Do it on Gumtree. Keep it low key.
Craigslist. I mean, there you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the early evening of January 23rd, Athalia took her pet blue jay for a walk.
Right, hold on.
Yeah, I'm just...
A blue jay as in a bird?
Yes.
For a walk?
Yes. So, I think this speaks more to her character than anybody else.
What? Was the bird not just kind of standing there like, I would prefer to fly?
So...
Could you take this lead off me?
See, now this is the first thing that popped into my head as soon as I heard this. But even worse, apparently she just went for a walk holding the cage that the bird was in. So I don't know what that's...
Hi, Larry. This is what you could have had if you were outside.
Yeah.
But this is the freedom you could have.
Yeah.
But you're in a cage.
I'm
So
gonna keep you
enjoy
caged.
it.
Yeah. So...
And I feel like Larry probably wouldn't be too bothered about not experiencing outside if he knew he was just going to be in a cage.
Yeah. In fact, what was the bird's name? I think the bird was called Geraldine. Clementine was the bird's name.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So at 6:12 p.m, Locke McCormick, who was 18 years old and a neighbour, he called the police and reported a domestic going on over at Athalia's house. Now, Locke was Athalia's neighbour and he had heard shouts and screams coming from her property. So he went to investigate. He saw a white middle-aged man wearing a white dress shirt and dark dress pants. So, not really dressed for murdering, if I'm honest. He was making...
Sounds like a car salesman.
Yeah, he was making downwards and upward strikes with his arm, or downward and upward motions with his arm, from what he could see.
Emotional in the wall.
Could have been wax on, wax off. Don't know. So...
Or it's had a dead arm. No? Sorry, my bingo wings are flapping there. Or that, yeah.
Yeah, he could have been asking to do something for him. So... Locke.
You do it like this. Have your hair wear.
Yeah.
How long is it?
I'll be on a ladder. I'll be stood up here on a ladder.
Fucking hell.
How long is it?
Use it as a draft excluder.
Well, ask the kid with a USB. So Locke ran back to his house and rang the police. After the phone call, he went back to check on Athalia's well-being, where he found her not doing so well. She'd been struck all over her body with a machete. The attack was so vicious, her head had nearly been severed, and she had lost a finger from trying to defend herself. Now, I don't know whether this is unfortunate or whether it's fortunate, but Clementine had managed to escape because the cage that she was in had been smashed.
Of course it had been smashed. Clementine knew fine well what she was doing. She could full on carry a machete and she thought, I'm done with this bitch. I'm fucking done.
That's it. It was just like, I've had enough of this. I'm not even allowed.
See the rest of your life. This is what you could have had. Yeah, the bird did it.
Open, closed, done.
Solved.
So Locke also discovered a trail of blood in the grass that led south of her property. Now,
in the direction that the bird fled.
Yeah, as it was flying off, it just stopped there when it had got to decent elevation.
And then it flew up.
Yeah. The police arrived on the scene at 6:24 p.m. with F.M.O. Lauren filing his investigative report. Now, this read, on arrival at 124 Marine Street, a white female was found lying on the front steps. Victim was dead at the time of viewing. Death probably caused by a sharp instrument which had struck the victim a number of times about the head, face, arms and hand. A search of the area was made, but the assailant nor the murder weapon have been found at this time. Now, after this, the crime scene was thoroughly hosed down.
Got to sell the house.
Exactly. Maybe the blood was offending the neighbours or whatever, but the police didn't want all that evidence hanging about, so apparently they instructed the paramedics to hose the area down.
Does that fall under a paramedic's job description now? No, we're just the people who deal with the casualties. We're not the fucking cleaner-uppers.
Yeah, so I genuinely...
Just give this a jet wash before you dash.
Get your car pressure washer out, come on. Do the grouting as well while you're here. There's terrible weeds in there. So Locke was interviewed, and he claimed that after witnessing the attack, he shouted to his grandma that Mr. Stanford is hitting Mrs. Ponsell. Now, Mr. Stanford was Alan G. Stanford, who was Athalia's neighbour, who coincidentally lived south of her residence. He was also a county manager, so maybe that was a position that may require formal dress attire, which would be a shirt and dress pants.
This doesn't seem like a very well thought out murder.
No.
Let's murder somebody dressed in my work gear rather than dressing like a builder or something to throw them off the case, and then let's walk back in the direction of my house, leaving a trail of blood to my front door.
Exactly. So none of this is very well thought out by the police, by the prosecutors, by anyone involved in this case.
That's very Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Now, Stanford and Athalia had issues. Now, these revolved around property disputes. Athalia had taken in stray dogs and they barked incessantly, which Stanford and Locke McCormick's family had complained about. She received a $50 fine for public nuisance over this. Athalia had also cut down branches from the Stanford trees that had overhung on her property. And she'd also...
That's fair enough.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. That is, you're
hanging over on her side.
Entitled to do that. No issues with that. But she had also publicly questioned Stanford's qualification for the city job position that he had held.
Is she not entitled to question those? Could I see the qualifications that you have to be able to do this position?
Exactly, and she had...
As a concerned member of the public.
She had quite a good point, because he had been signing himself off as a city engineer, but he wasn't actually certified in the state of Florida. So he was false advertising himself in that way. So it was... She had every right to be able to do that. So, the sheriff ordered a reward of $500, and on the 17th of February, Dewey Lee, a mechanic, reported to Sheriff Dudley Garrett that he'd found the murder weapon 1 mile away from Athalia's home in Marshland. Now, when the police investigated the area, they found a machete, a wristwatch, dark blue pants, and a white shirt. Now, these items were stained with blood, and blonde hair was found on the machete and the pants. So, kind of...
It's a good chance that they were part of the murder.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the nose here. Now, on the 22nd of February... So just less than a week later, Stanford was arrested for Athalia's murder. Now, investigators successfully identified the shirt found, the white shirt found, it was Stanford's, because he had his name written in it.
I mean, you just never know who at work is going to nick your shirt, particularly off your back when you're wearing it.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You can't be too careful.
It's not gym at school, this. Maybe he had a label maker and he just went a little bit crazy. You never
Didn't know what else to use it on.
Yeah. The wristwatch was also identified as Stanford's by his jeweller because he identified it using its serial number. So at this point, he is pretty bang to rights on this one. There is... You'd think there's very little that he can squirm out of this, but amazingly enough, this is an unsolved case. And after Stanford was arrested, his friends and fellow church members raised the $20,000 for his bail, and they also went on to raise an estimated $250,000 for his defense fund. Now, in today's money, that would have buying power of 1.3 million, or a Johnny Cochran kind of lawyer.
Think of the repairs that could have been done to the church roof.
Yeah, but apparently they thought Stanford was that upstanding that they needed to donate all their money to him. So, later in the year, November the 3rd, one of Athalia's friends, who had previously said, "I think St. Augustine is the safest place I have ever lived. I go out walking at night and will continue to do so. I went out walking the same night the murder took place."
Well, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, she was murdered. Frances Bemis, who was 70, was found dead in a parking lot. She'd been killed by blunt force trauma, and apparently she'd been beaten around the head by a stone block. In the past, she had alluded to knowing something about Athalia's death and was apparently working on a book about it. So, maybe she knew something that the murderer didn't want other people to know, and if she came out with it, maybe the murderer, he or she, wanted to get rid of them.
So, if you know who the murderer is, right, you're going to write a book about it, but the murderer's still out there, that's a pretty dumb thing to do.
Yeah, and just on a side note, it's interesting to note that at the time of Frances's murder, Stanford was free on bail. So
that was my thinking, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe. So Stanford's defence at his trial was basically Sheriff Dudley Garrett, Dewey Lee, and Athalia's husband James Lindsey had all worked together to frame him.
See, I was going to say that. I was going to say it almost sounds too obvious. Which is a bit sus.
Yeah, it does, especially because what the defence said was, "Isn't it strange that all the deputies and trained police officers didn't know what to look for or where to look for it? And without stopping, Lee went right to the spot, walked up to the bank, and there it was. I submit to you that Dewey Lee put it out there that morning." So they're basically saying that Dewey Lee had rifled through the things in Stanford's house, taken these things, and hidden them in this marshland.
Or got somebody to take them and hide them.
Well, one of the key parts of testimony in the trial was from a young girl who claimed to have seen Dewey Lee in Stanford's garden 2 hours before the murder had occurred. So she identified that it was...
Just seems too obvious to me.
Yeah.
Nobody is that stupid. Surely nobody is that dumb.
You'd like to think, but then you've got Chris Coleman, haven't you, really? So...
True.
Yeah. As well as the evidence, 5 witnesses had claimed to see Stanford in his office, which he asserted that he was there to double-check on the permits that were being mailed out in the morning and to study for his upcoming engineering exam, in which he could actually then legally sign himself off as a city engineer. Now, on the 3rd of February 1975, Stanford was found not guilty after 2.5 hours of jury deliberation. So, they didn't even hang around that long to be able to give him, to even look at the evidence. And in disbelief, the prosecuting attorney stated, "It would amaze me if anyone could go through that evidence in 2.5 hours. The Panama City News Herald incredulously remarked, "During that time, the 8 men and 4 women jurors elected a foreman, ate a meal brought into them, and then considered their verdict." So they've already had...
And watched the full second season of Lost.
That's it. They've already had, an hour and a half downtime, and then gone, "Oh shit, yeah, we're here for something. What are we doing again? Who is it? What happened? Oh yeah, it's him. Oh, he goes to my church. He's alright, him."
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I was on the jury, I'd be like, firstly, is this... I mean, it could just be a case of Occam's razor. The simplest answer is usually the most correct. or the correct one. So yes, it could be that he just really was that dumb and just left a trail of evidence just like so brutally Scooby-Doo obvious. Or is it too obvious that it clearly has to be framed? It would kind of put the seeds of doubt in my mind.
Yeah, it is. It is. A lot of it is on the nose, like too much on the nose to be like, And there was another suspect, but he wasn't professionally considered. Now, the other suspect was James Lindsey, Athalia's husband. Now, although Lindsay claimed that there were no marital problems, Athalia had written to her sister saying that she had changed the locks to her own house and called Lindsay a complete leech, a complete liar. Now, the community speculated that as a former two-time mayor of the county, he could have the sway and the power to get the police to wash all the evidence away.
And he could.
Yeah. Another piece of speculation was that James owned a machete similar to the murder weapon. And during Athalia's murder trial, he was asked if the murder weapon was his, and which he said, all machetes look alike to me.
Is this your machete? No.
Yeah.
Not mine. Never seen it before in my life.
life.
Are you actually going to go, shit, I knew I left that somewhere. Oh, fuck, did I leave it? Oh, I left it at the crime scene, didn't I? Fuck.
Fuck it, I knew there was something. I've been missing something. Apparently, Lindsay had a machete in his car for his real estate job.
Mm?
Yeah. Now, I thought this because, like, if you're showing someone around, what's he using it for? Pointing to the fucking white goods? Like, there's the fridge. look at the lighting, it's brilliant. Like, he's got a machete, he's fucking mental. But apparently he said he used it to try and cut back overgrown brush and grasses when he went round to houses that hadn't sold in a while. So, because it's Florida, it's very warm, maybe the grass grows quick there or whatever. And also, a lot of residents of the county owned at least one machete, apparently.
Oh, okay.
And they had the machete for the same reasons, cut back, like, the whatever grasses were growing there. I don't know.
Americans be weird.
Exactly, and it is Florida, so that's probably true. Now,
if I went to work and went, yeah, I keep a machete in case I need to trim the trees, people would be like, she's a psycho.
Yeah.
She kills people and buries them in her garden.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. I'm not.
But
yeah.
in Florida, they'd be like, yeah, no, I do the same. It gets crazy out there.
Yeah. I always felt bad when I was carrying my chef knives in my bag around. It's like, I have a genuine reason why I have got all these 10 very sharp knives in my bag, but if I get pulled over and stopped, I'm going to have a hell of a time explaining it away. Yeah.
I'm a chef.
Yeah.
Why don't all serial killers think to say that?
Yeah, they're not clever, are they, really? Not like me.
Apparently.
I mean, no, that I've killed anyone. I used my knives in that respect.
Only every accent you've ever put on. That's all you've killed.
Oh, fine. Fair enough. According to a book of the murder by Elizabeth Randall, Lindsay had a 25-minute gap unaccounted for in his alibi, and she postulated that this was enough time for him to be able to go to Athalia's house, kill her, drive back to his house, and then await the results coming in.
Yeah.
But it's a bit worrying because that means if you disappear for 25 minutes and a murder goes on around you...
I mean, you can kill somebody in 3 minutes or something? So 25 seems like more than plentiful time. I say he's definitely equal to likely to be a suspect because why not?
Yeah, I mean, between the two of them, and there is only these two people, I think Stanford. For Stanford, it is too on the nose. But if it was a crime of passion, as in the way of it was just in the moment, I think it could easily be him.
I just don't understand, like, what is Stanford's, like, motive? Like, yeah, they didn't like each other, but there's lots of people I don't like, but I don't go and take a machete to their face in their houses.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, in Lindsay would get more out of her death because they were married, so he would get whatever estate she left to him if she would have changed the world.
Potentially life insurance, if she had life insurance.
Yeah. So, I mean, she was born into wealth, the family was quite rich, and she did work in New York for all that time, so she probably did have a little bit of money put aside for her. And if the marriage wasn't going that well...
Exactly. So Stanford really only stood to gain not having dogs barking.
An annoying neighbour, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
he didn't really stand to gain anything.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not really a incentive enough to kill somebody just not having their stray dogs barking.
You say that, but... He got the church to get him off, didn't he? That was bad phrasing. But...
Up a ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. Come over here, Reverend.
Hey, God, we're going to hell.
Yeah.
If it existed, which it doesn't.
Indeed. So we'll just be in the ground being eaten by worms.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm just going to go in the bin.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm getting burnt. I didn't even know this. But...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my mum says.
Are you getting an urn?
I don't know.
You get put in an urn?
I'm getting me ashes.
Because then you'll be in there... You'll be in there with loads of other people.
In an urn?
When you get cremated, yeah.
I'm not having a timeshare on it.
Well, you may as well. Like, when you get cremated, there's other, bits of ashes off other people that were burnt before you. It's just an urn full of lots of different people. It's mostly you, but it's a good deal of loads of other people. Just stick yourself in the bin, man.
Amazingly enough, I wouldn't really care because I would be dust. So...
But it's an expensive endeavour for your family to fork out for it to not just be you.
I don't care. My wife's rich.
She's paying for a pity party.
These
are other people that she doesn't even know.
I've said you can fly tip me. I don't really care. Just
Well, that's just silly. She'll get fined for fly tipping you.
I've also said, if I get dementia, just take me up to the Lake District, give me a packed lunch, and then just leave me up there. Well, I fucking forget where it was, and then just...
No, knowing you'd still find your way back bastard home.
Oh, no, I would. I just go to the pub.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't be able to get rid of me. She's been here for 4 weeks. She sleeps under the benches outside. Yeah, there's only 2 suspects, and Stanford is 2 on the nose, and I still can't believe Lindsay could have done it within that amount of time.
And there's still one witness that that has been at the scene of every crime, like the bunny and hoodwinked.
Yeah.
Clementine the bird.
Exactly, that was the thing.
Could quite easily have killed her, set the neighbour up, and then made the jury think, what if it actually wasn't the neighbour? What if it was the husband? And then everybody's so confused, everybody forgets it was the bird all along.
And as well, eagles, or at least birds of prey, pick up tortoises and drop them from a great height. So maybe that's what Clementine did to Frances. She picked up a rock, dropped it from a great height, twatted her on the head, boom. There you go.
I mean...
Just to keep her silent, because she knew the blue jay did it.
Solved it.
Exactly. And on that bombshell... This has been the MO podcast with me, Contumacious Anne.
And me, Atreya.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
The MO podcast. The MO podcast.
The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast.